Good morning. Good morning out there and there. I'm in here, out here with Vivi. Good morning, dear one. How you doing? Can you say good morning to everybody? Sure. How about a slurp? Welcome to the Sentimentalist. Hi, Mark. Wow, is that hot? Well, my goodness. Let's see what we have on our notepad for today. Um, yeah, our niece got married yesterday on the beach down in around Sarasota, Florida. Just she and her husband, and I think it's like a trainer or something that they use. Did the officiating. That's all. Just the three of them. That's a new kind of thing. Why don't you move over a little bit? Huh? Yeah. You're half off the. I better give you a little something to get you up here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Here you go. Yes, a girl. Yes, we have to do the bribering of Vivian, that's for sure. So, best wishes to our niece Kylie and her husband Brandon. We have the funniest thing. Well, the funniest thing. Can you name the funniest thing? Oh, no, no. I've told you about Angie down the way here who starts Christmas on November 1st. Well, about a week or so ago, we looked out the window and saw a green, triangle. And here, Jen and John and Kennedy had put up their tree. That's two. There's four of us out here. And then about a week ago, I'm walking Vivi, and we go over and visit the dog next door, Becca. And Chris says, "Have you seen our tree?" So that's three. So right behind this camera is four. It's the first time before Thanksgiving. And I started getting some Santas out yesterday. It's just so fun and funny. Oh my goodness. So there's little people starting to show up around the house. Mm-mm. Did you hear about what 45 had done in the cemetery in the Netherlands? There's a portion of the cemetery that is for uh, a couple of black companies that were special service, actually cleaned up awful stuff after battles. And they had special plaques for what they do. And he had them taken down because it said black. And they did that to my dad. He was the white captain of one of those black companies. And as his son, I'm sorry, I just don't have words for it, okay? Jeff Monroe wrote a column about whether he was grateful or not that his parents weren't around to see this. And I guess I feel a bit that way for my dad. Yeah. And then of course ICE is making all these raids. And an interesting thing, see if you can find it online, a column by Mark Hiskus about ICE. It's brilliantly written, and a column by Jeff Monroe about his parents. Mark Hiskus went, um, an Hispanic fellow was called in by ICE. He's a citizen. And he was called in. He has to go every month, drive to Grand Rapids, waste all that time and gas, and get screamed and yelled at. even though he's a legal citizen. It just gives them a chance to be thugs. So a couple of ministers and Mark and the fellow and his wife and another person all went in a van to support him. And the building is, there's no way to know that's where they are, ICE. And they figured it out and knocked on the door. Who's there? And said, if you're late, you can be deported. Imagine that. If you're late for your appointment, you can be deported. Here you go. And so he said he was there, and he said, can my wife come in? Can my wife come in with me? No. And those other people can't either. Everybody back in that van of yours. I mean, just like that over the microphone. So they're looking for cameras. They can't see anything. Okay, so he goes in by himself, gets screamed and yelled at, and the other five go downstairs. There's a coffee shop on the first floor of this building. And they said, well, let's go in and have a cup of coffee while we're waiting. And so they go in, and all of a sudden, microphone comes through the coffee shop. Get out of that coffee shop. You aren't told, we told you to be in the van. Go to your van. So they go to the van, and the waitress says, here, I'll put your coffee in a, disposable cup. Viv, stay. Stay. I want you to stay, sweetie. You helped me through these things, right? So they go get in the van. Well, the waitress put the coffee in the cups. And they went to pay for it, and she said, no, that's something we do. Happens all the time, and we let the coffee's yours, on us. And then he came out, and he said, yes, they screamed and yelled at me, and that it was just awful, and then they drove home. Really, just, I've checked my notes, of course. Yeah. Mark's a wonderful bread baker, and he came out to visit the other day. Oh boy, I ate the whole. He makes these little loaves that are delicious. I ate the loaf. Ate the whole thing. It was so good. Mm-mm-mm. Yep. Let's see what else we have here. Lots of Christmas ads. Of course, they started after the 4th of July. I think that was the first Christmas ad I saw. Yeah. Um, I changed that closing. I put be kind to those who deserve it. And I kind of still want to stick with that. Somebody said, well, Jesus said to be kind to everyone, but I don't think he said to the money makers in the church. I don't think he said, would you guys mind moving your tables out to the street? Would you wouldn't mind doing that, would you? He threw them out. And his notion of be kind was to reverse everything. Look at the Beatitudes. All the people who weren't being kind to, be blessed. Be kind is another way of saying that. Anyway, that's all I meant by that. Be kind to those who deserve it. Doesn't mean you have to be mean to 45, but you don't have to be kind to them. You can be indifferent. Julie's telling me she's 5 minutes and she's rolling her eyes. I don't know what's going on. Oh, she says nothing. I don't know. What a great time I had with two of my former students, Sue Blaine, who's a therapist, Sue Marks, who was an editor in New York. Um, Gosh, what a treat. We just jabbered and jabbered and jabbered, and no politics, none at all. We had such a good time. And I found out that Sue couldn't figure out a major when she was at Hope. She took a poetry class, and the rest of her life is because because of the poetry class. It took her into writing, it took her into editing, it took her into going to New York to a publisher. It led to her meeting her husband at work and having two children who are all grown and wonderful and teachers and librarian. Oh my gosh. I mean, I almost lost it. It was just so touching. What did I have to do with it? Guess what Julie and I have been doing? Planting bulbs. Planting bulbs. For the first time, we're planting tulips and daffodils we're planting. Oh boy, what fun. And our neighbor gave us this thing that drills a hole and then you drop the bulb in. What a good time that is. Julie's hooking up one of her spinning things and about to tell me that I have 22 seconds to read a poem. Jim Alice, on another level, he teaches in prisons, and they decided to devalue the liberal arts that he teaches, the humanities, and the inmates get paid at $1.77 an hour for their work, which is a slavery wage. But they decided that taking these courses in the liberal arts from people like Jim are only worth 59 seconds. What are they going to do with all those pennies? So to Jim, who was completely exhausted, and my last note before I read my poem, real fast, I'm going to read it like this. His last night's was Landscape, my group poets, and it was the most. If I could read those 4 poems that we worked with and talked about, we didn't really do anywhere. We talked about. Jeez. Boy, you'd be really moved. They were remarkable, just remarkable. I said to these people, what an experience it is to trust yourself to 12 other people. Trust yourself. Give it yourself. Trust them with you. Do we get to have that experience all that often? I don't know. It's something to think about. Yeah. Well, 'tis the season. Next Thursday, we'll celebrate Thanksgiving together. I can't imagine anybody being here. You'll all be getting your turkey and gravy ready. So here's a little poem. As you know, I can't write anymore. The nerves in my hands can't hold things to write. The poem's called Tabula Rasa. Has a little quote from a surgeon that says, "You may lose the ability to use your hands." True. I'm sorry, I'm all out, bud. I'm all out. I think about the end of writing and what may follow. Some sunlight across the bowl on the kitchen table. My daughter stopping after work. I'll lift the cup of coffee with my fists. We will laugh. The dogs will wrestle, the older one letting the pup pull tufts of hair from his scraggly ears. The geese will still bring their V, north and south. I know a solitary one will fly by, and I will wonder about its being alone, if it will find its way. And I won't know. You'll say, go ahead, stir the soup, add some more tomatoes if you like, or maybe some oregano. I will use the phone, but I'm used to stamps. I love writing a name and address, their steady place floating in the center of a moving universe. Then adding where to return the letter if it doesn't find its way and needs to wander back. Up there in the left corner, that's a kind of home. And in the center, another. And there we are, heading out, hoping we connect without knowing when, maybe not even where. Thanks for staying, Viv. Thank you, good girl. Thanks for being with me. Take care. Be kind. Try to be cheerful. I'm glad you were here. It helps. Bye.